Good afternoon, folks. This is Fred Campos, owner of DFW Website Designers. It is a wonderful Tuesday, January the 25th, 2022. This is your 3 business tips at 3 o'clock in and around 3 minutes, episode number 307. This week's, folks, 4th week of January 2022, we are talking small business folks about negotiations. This is part number 4, where we talk about calibrated questions. Today, we're going to talk about those calibrated questions really pretty much is how does this fit in? What makes you ask? And then sometimes why. Really the how, what, and sometimes why. Now, before we dive into this, you got to understand what calibrated questioning is, because it's a little different if you're as old as me. We were kind of taught in school to really deal with the who, what, when, where, why, and sometimes how, right? And we kind of had those backwards as far as negotiating. And good negotiation, and this comes from Chris Voss's book, Never Split the Difference. We're going to focus on calibrated questions, which is really going to focus in on the how and the what, which isn't logical to answer a question with another question, and much less that 5th or 6th one called how. It seems unnatural, but it is a great negotiating technique. So business tip number 1, you're going to use the answer to their questions with the question how. And if you want to get more specifically, you could say, how does this fit? So let me give an example. I'm a web designer, and most people call me up on the phone and say they want a website, and they start asking me questions like, hey, Fred, does your company provide hosting? Which we do provide hosting. So I am tempted almost immediately to say, yes, Mr. Customer, we provide hosting services and it costs X. But that's not a good response. So let's do that again using Chris Voss's idea of starting with how. Do you guys provide hosting? We do, perhaps. How does this fit into your question? No, better thing would be, do you provide hosting? How does that work with you, or how does that fit into your needs? By answering a question with a question how, they may elaborate. Oh my gosh, we had this terrible hosting, blah, 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 about this other company. Now I've got more information, okay? Or another one is business tip number 2. I could answer that question with the question, what? So let's do it again. Mr. Campos, do your company provide hosting? Well, what makes you ask that question? Again, that's pulling information and taking control. You didn't answer the question. So you really want to answer most of the questions in negotiation with a how or a what. Now, that brings us to the 3rd business point, which is sometimes why. You don't want to lead with this question, but it is like a follow-up question. You know, why is this important to you? Why is hosting important to you, right? So doing this calibrated question as part of negotiation turns the tables back into your favor and really responds with their questions in an effort to gather more information. Again, the more information you can, the more you two can come to a win-win scenario, and that is part of negotiation. Again, these are the tactics that I'm learning for my small business. Anything I learn, I throw the fence to you. We're on the series to learn this together because I want you guys to be awesome. Now go back to sleep.